Jamari Johnson has a chance to be the top tight end in the 2027 NFL draft. Sort of a fun story here with Jamari Johnson. Depending on the service you look at, he was kind of a tweener between a 3-star, 4-star recruit. Ends up going to the Oregon Ducks after playing a little bit for Louisville. And obviously, it was a pretty highly touted transfer prospect, but not like an extremely highly touted guy. Somebody who was kind of like in the middle of the top 10 tight ends available. Commits to the Oregon Ducks, plays behind Kenyon Sadiq. And we all know Kenyon Sadiq, very like interesting tight end prospect last year. Sort of a 6'3", 235, 240-pound. I viewed him personally as more of like a gadgety type of tight end, not a traditional tight end, nobody like that. What makes Jamari Johnson a lot more interesting to me than even Kenyon Sadiq, and why if Jamari has the year I think he can have, I might like him even more than Kenyon Sadiq, is because he's 6'5", 257 pounds, and he looks and plays a little bit more like a traditional tight end. Now, he's got some things to work on, and I'm glad he is able to get another year under his belt with Oregon being that number one tight end option, not having to play behind Kenyon Sadiq, but being the guy. But I mean, talking about him playing behind Kenyon Sadiq, this is somebody who put up 510 yards, 32 receptions, 3 touchdowns, 15.9 yards per catch. I mean, those are some pretty big numbers for somebody who was technically the second tight end. There are tight ends in this class who we will have in our top 10 that don't even have, like, over the course of their career, the same level of production that Jamari Johnson had as a backup tight end in this past year. So it's very impressive. Now, again, 6'5", 257 pounds. He's big. He's long. He's a good athlete. He can be a bit of a vertical threat too. A good explosiveness out the gates. I also think he's a competitor in the run game. Now, he has to be a lot more technically sound, but I do think he shows the will in the fight, and he has the size profile and the physicality profile to where I think he can eventually become more of that traditional 3-down tight end that can, honestly play in line a lot more than some of these other guys. Now, he's got to be more durable throughout a consistent portion of the season. He needs to work on his footwork. I think he plays a little bit too high, plays a little handsy at times. But, man, we're talking about the size profile, the explosiveness, the length, the catch radius. Some of the big playmaking stuff he can do with the ball in his hands are all really interesting. And I think as a route runner, there's also more to untap there as well. I think he can rely a little bit on his size and frame and athleticism, but there's also times where you can see him throw in some head fakes and look a little nuanced as a route runner, find the spots in zone and sit in them. Pretty impressive stuff. And I'm really excited to see him really be the number one option for Dante Moore, as Dante is expected to be a top 5, top 10 pick. Dante Moore should be in for a big year. Oregon should be in for a big year. I think Jamari Johnson should be in for a big year. So with that said, let's bring in B-Ross. Jamari Johnson is probably going to be inside our top 3 tight ends if he has the year we think he can have. And I would say he reminds me a little bit of like a David Njoku type of guy. What were your thoughts when watching Jamari Johnson, and where do you think he'll go in this year's draft if he has the year we expect him to have?
Yeah, he was fun to watch because he's not this like elite athlete like Kenyon Sadiq. He's not like Kenyon Sadiq. Kind of reminded me of Vernon Davis, like freaky athlete, explosive, like you know what I mean. Like like people are more scared of the athlete than they are the actual tight end, right? But you're talking about a kid in Jamari Johnson who to me is very well rounded, just in terms of how he plays. He can stretch the seam vertically. He can win over the middle. He knows how to. He does an amazing job of finding space and soft spots and zones. That's what I really love about him. Tight ends have to be able to just make themselves targets. Everyone says it on TV. Like you hear, oh, the tight end's the quarterback safety net, but only good tight ends who know how to become that are that. And to me, he's that for Dante Moore. I think to your point, it's going to be really interesting to see him just as tight end 1 this year. Granted, Oregon has a ton of talent around him, but like he's going to get more attention and focus, and he won't be so open this year, or I would presume not to be so open as he was last year. I want to see him. I do want to see him win more contested catches, or like be put in that situation because you don't see it often. Like he's usually running free over a zone, or it's man and his guy got picked and he's running clean. So I want to see him more in traffic, more congestion, because that's how most tight ends in the NFL live. Like you live through traffic. Like you have to be able to play through traffic and contact. And then I think he could be better after the catch. I think he looks to get tackled. it and it bothers me because he's strong, he's fast, but he doesn't look to be the Punisher. He looks to just like, oh, okay, I'm going
Right.
down. Like I'm protecting the ball and I'm going down. Where like I think he has more in his tank to be a more effective runner after the catch. I think
I
he
can
can
see
be.
that.
I think he can be like Tucker Craft s because like I remember Tucker coming out of South Dakota State. It was like you see it sometimes, but most times he's kind of just like going down, doesn't fight. It's like, bro, no, run through him. DBs don't want to tackle. Run
Right.
through him. So I think Jamari adds that to his game because as a run blocker, to your point, he's competitive. He's going to wall off. He's going to seal. He's not going to like move or like displace guys, but doesn't have to. Turn them out. Run lane. Let him go. Like, you know what I mean? I think he does that well enough to justify him being tiny and one. I have a hard time him not being tiny and one if he does what we think he's going to do. He goes and catch for 600-700 yards, 6 to 9 touchdowns in that Oregon offense. I have a hard time believing he's not tight end one. To me, he's the most well-rounded tight end in terms of athleticism, blocking, pass catching, route running. Like it's not too much he can't do physically. He's not quite the athlete that some other guys might be, but he knows how to run routes. He knows how to get open. He knows how to use his size, his length to win at the top of routes. So I'm very excited to watch him play this year as tight end one.
Yeah, what was pretty interesting about the season he had is, kind of early on in the year, he wasn't a big part of the offense, but as the year went on, especially in the postseason, his snap total increased, by basically double. Like the first,
Yeah.
9 weeks, this is somebody that really wasn't on anyone's big time radar. Like, yeah, he's kind of a deep cut, like he's got some talent, this and that. But then as the year went on, by the time we got to the game versus Indiana, he played over 40 snaps, something crazy like that, and 34 against Texas Tech, put up some big time numbers. And you want to see those guys perform against those type of competition. And he got a lot of targets in that Indiana game. I know they got blown out in that one, but he still made a lot of big time catches and plays in that one, and played good versus Texas Tech, played great versus Washington, and those later season games. I just think, like, we talked a bit about Trey'Dez Green and how Trey'Dez, who's probably going to be some people's tight end one, tight end two, tight end three, wherever he's at. Trey'Dez is a very tough one to project in the NFL just because of how big and the way that he was used at LSU, where he was playing 50% of his snaps in the slot. When you look at Jamari Johnson's numbers, it's a lot more spread out. 46% in line, 39%, basically 40% in the slot, and 10% out wide. So more of what you'll see in the NFL. And I do think, again, how today's tight ends work. Tight end, who could play in line, who could play a bit out wide as well. There's a lot of value in that. And I do think Jamari Johnson offers that value. And as he continues just to refine his craft and get a little bit better at blocking, like you mentioned, maybe be a bit more physical with the ball in your hands, just maybe mentally being a bit more physical and stuff like that. Like this is a player that realistically could be a tight end that is your tight end one on your team. And I think he has the traits of a potential first round pick. And I think it's very exciting. Obviously, I guess he could have technically went into last year's draft class, and I would have been pretty interested to like figure out where he would have been at in last year's class. And as we all know, like we saw Jacksonville take Nate Borkature, so he might have ended up being like a third round pick.
Yeah,
right. And but him going back for one more year, I think was great for him. I think this is a great opportunity for him to really be the guy, put together a full season of tape and develop properly, take another step. Because tight end is not a position like running back or wide receiver where you can just do 3 years and you're ready to go. Tight end is like, if you can get as much reps as possible out there, probably by the time you get to your fourth or fifth year, your stock's going to be at its all-time high. So for him getting that fourth year, and really, this is really his first year being the full-time starter in some ways. So it's great for him. And so I would probably say right now I might have an early first on him, but we'll kind of see how the season ultimately plays out. But yeah, I think how he fits in today's NFL is very it's perfect. I think this is Trey'Dez is somebody where it's like not everyone's gonna love him. Jamari Johnson's where play style is more like I think 99% of teams would love to have him on their team.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, because again, you want to run one tight end sets, two tight end sets, three tight end sets. You can find a way to fit him in there. And
Yep.
yeah, do you have a necessary team that you're like, they need a tight end and Jamari Johnson fits them?
That's what I was thinking about. I'm sitting here literally like, where does he kind of fit? And first team that came to mind was the Panthers,
Right.
right? Because to me, he's well rounded enough to handle tight end one responsibilities. But also, I was thinking about the Chiefs.
Yeah. Him learning from Kelsey would be great.
If Kelsey plays another year after this year, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and you have Jamari essentially as your tight end 2/1 as he's growing and he gets more snaps later and all that stuff. Like, I think that would be a good fit.
I think I have a sneaky one that we haven't talked about. The Houston Texans. You have Dalton Schultz.
You have Dalton Schultz.
Schultz is cool. He's fine, but
Yeah.
your tight end 2 is Foster Moreau. Then you took Marlon Klein. You have Kate Stover, but to me, Jamari Johnson wouldn't be an upgrade over those guys. I think he would be your tight end 2 for a year or two, and then once you move off Dalton Schultz, he'll step into that bigger role and be the guy. So I like the fit there. Plus, it's an offense that could really just use, I don't know, something else. It feels like they need a bit of a change, and I think Jamari Johnson could maybe be that guy for them. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, guys, let us know Jamari Johnson, where is he at in your big board, and let us know a good team fit while you're down there as well. And of course, hit the like and subscribe button. If you guys did enjoy this clip, make sure you guys go check out our live shows. We do them 3 times a week where you can see our full videos, not just these cut ups, but full videos. Make sure you guys check them out. While you're there, hit that like and subscribe button. Have a good day.